Nobody in that theater was ready for what was about to happen. He walked onto the Britain's Got Talent stage in a shirt that looked like it had been ironed 3 times to hide how nervous he was. His shoes were clean but worn. His hands were trembling. The audience barely glanced up from their phones. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair with that expression he always wore before he destroyed someone's dream in front of millions. The other judges whispered to each other. And this young man from the Philippines stood at the center of the stage, alone under a single blinding spotlight, and introduced himself with a voice so quiet the microphone almost missed it. His name was Raphael. He was 23 years old. He had saved for 2 years to buy a plane ticket to London. He had told his mother he was going to make her proud. She had kissed his forehead at the airport and slipped a small laminated photo into his jacket pocket. A photo of a man she once loved. A man Raphael had never met. His father. Simon looked up from his notepad and asked what he would be singing. Raphael said 3 words that made the entire room go still. Victor Wood. Bateau. The audience exchanged confused glances. A few people laughed softly. One of the younger judges tilted her head. Simon's expression didn't change. He simply gestured toward the stage with one hand and said, "Go ahead then." The music began. And then Raphael opened his mouth. What came out of that man was not just a voice. It was something older. Something that did not belong in this century. A baritone so warm and so full it felt like standing next to a fire on the coldest night of your life. The kind of voice that reaches inside your chest and rearranges something. The audience, which had been distracted and restless 1 second before, went completely silent. Not polite silent. Devastated silent. The silence of people who have just witnessed something they cannot explain. Simon Cowell sat up straight. Victor Wood was a Filipino legend. A man whose voice could make strangers cry at weddings and funerals alike. A man who passed away and left a silence in Filipino music that no one had been able to fill. And standing on the BGT stage in London, a 23-year-old boy from a small province in the Philippines was filling that silence with everything he had. By the second verse, a woman in the front row was crying. By the bridge, 3 of the 4 judges had tears in their eyes. And Simon Cowell, the man who had told some of the world's greatest singers that they were simply not good enough, pressed his hand against his mouth and looked away from the stage for a moment. As if he needed a second to collect himself before the cameras caught what was happening to his face. They caught it anyway. Raphael did not know any of this. His eyes were closed. He was not performing for the audience. He was not performing for the judges. He was performing for one person. The man in the laminated photo. The father he never knew. The man his mother said had a voice exactly like this. A voice that could stop time. When the last note ended, the theater did not react immediately. There was a full 3 seconds of absolute silence. And then the entire audience rose. Every single person. All at once. Like something had pulled them to their feet. Simon stood too. He was not smiling. He was not applauding with the theatrical enthusiasm he sometimes performed for the cameras. He was clapping slowly, deliberately, with wet eyes and a jaw that he was clearly fighting to keep steady. He looked at Raphael the way you look at something you did not expect to be beautiful. One of the judges leaned forward to speak and could not find her words. She tried again. Still nothing. She shook her head and pressed her hand to her heart instead. Raphael finally opened his eyes. And when he saw what was in front of him, thousands of people on their feet, judges with tears running down their faces, the full weight of what had just happened landed on him all at once. His shoulders shook. His chin trembled. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the small laminated photo and held it up toward the lights. "For you," he said. Just loud enough for the microphone to catch it. Simon Cowell, who had heard everything, who had seen everything, who had made his career on remaining unmoved, put his face in his hands. The crowd screamed. And somewhere in a small house in the Philippines, a mother sat alone in front of a television, watching her son hold up a photo of the man they had both loved and lost, and she understood something in that moment that words could not carry. Her boy had done it. He had brought his father home.